And I believe a fool with a plan can defeat a genius without one. Reproduction, a transfer of wealth. That's what I want you to think of and think about for the next few minutes. Is a transfer of wealth. Now, how many of you have wheat in the bin? Yeah, just anybody doesn't have wheat in the bin. You sold it?
God held out.
Oh, God held out. I hope you were into it. Oh, yeah, they're lucky.
You're lucky.
They're lucky. You were smart, you were strong, and you were swift. I just got unlucky, yeah. Yeah, but your transfer of wealth, it all outflowed. You didn't harvest anything. And right now, what you're waiting on, especially if you've got wheat in the bin, is that transfer of wealth to come back in. It goes in and out, doesn't it? This is the last one. I used this. You can hear me back there now, can't you? I used it 2 times this morning because speaking 3 hours can sure play havoc on your throat. Is that okay? All right, where was I? Remember where I was? Yes. Thank you. It's going to be an interesting 50 minutes or so. What you're concerned about is the transfer of wealth from you or to you, or to you or from you. It's transferred out when you're producing something. When you're putting that wheat in the ground, you're planting, you're investing. And you want that flow to come into you. And right now, $3, $3 for $3 wheat is not coming in very fast. And right now, you're making a decision about what to do next year. In this transfer, are you going to transfer more wealth out? Or are you going to transfer wealth out and get more wealth coming in? That's what you want to do. Let me just start out by sharing a little bit of my philosophy. What maybe I picked up over the years. It started back in 1964. I was a junior in high school. I went with my dad to Shakota. There's another good one for you to spell or say. Went to Shakota to Frame Lumber Company. Frame Lumber Company was owned by Bob and Skeet Frame brothers, owned and operated by the 2 of them. Bob was the businessman. He was quiet. He was serious. Did I say Bob or Skeet? Skeet was the serious one, the businessman, the older one. The younger one, well, he was a wheeler and dealer, Bob was. And Bob was talking to my dad, and I was there, and Bob put his arm around me. And he says, Kim, he said, there's money to be made in this world. In good times, in bad times, in times. There's always money to be made in this world, and what you've got to figure out how to do is funnel it in your pocket and keep it there rather than in somebody else's. Now, it's amazing what you remember, isn't it? What impacts your life. Because, now one thing I'm going to talk to you today about is strategies and plans. I don't think you're going to survive without a strategy and plans to go with it. In a junior in high school, I decided that my lifetime's goal that I wanted to make $10,000 a year and be worth $1 million. And I looked around, observed. Now, my dad and my mother both had 8th grade educations. They did get their GED. I remember when they got their GEDs. And with an 8th grade education, my dad built a really good farm and ranch. He was quite successful at it. So formal education, I got a PhD, He was probably smarter than me. But that's another story. I looked around. $10,000 a year, that's worth about $100 grand now. If you'll inflate that on out from 64 to now, it's about $100,000 a year. As I looked around Shakota, Muskogee, that area, who was making $10,000 a year or more? Teachers were making $3,600 a month. It was people with college education. And so I said, Kim, you got to go to college. I developed a plan, our strategy and plan on doing that. What do you market?
Commodity grain.
Commodity grain? What do you market? Service. Oh, what's your job?
I'm an economist.
You're an economist. Oh, where?
Kansas Market.
Okay. Mike. Kansas Sweet. So you said commodities. What do you market? Commodities. Commodities. Well, that's where we differ. I think you sell commodities. You sell wheat. You sell corn. Whatever else you produce, cattle. You sell it. You don't market it. What you market is land, labor, capital, and management. That's what you can control. You have full control of those. Now, luck comes in on your decisions, and what you do is through marketing those assets, you determine how to convert those to dollars that you can keep in your pocket. What you sell is commodities. How many of you have heard, "Don't be a price taker"? You ever heard that? They don't say it as much as they used to. And I'm here to tell you that you don't have any choice. You're a price taker. You don't like it? Get over it. Tell me any one of you that can have anything, can impact the price that you receive in any way. Well, yeah, you can. You can not take today's price. You can take tomorrow's price, and so you impact the price. But you can't do anything to influence what that price is going to be. And I think producers and people waste a lot of their time worrying about price. If you will worry about marketing, land, labor, capital, and management, applying those to the commodities, produce the commodities that's going to generate the most income, profit in your pocket, price will take care of itself. Is it part of it? Yes. But you can't influence the price. Prices cannot be accurately predicted. I put accurately, I don't believe prices can be predicted, period, but they can be predicted, you just miss them by a certain degree, and it's probably a pretty large degree. Where's your price determined for wheat?
Foreign markets.
Huh?
Foreign markets.
Foreign markets, yeah, that's where the information comes from. That's the best answer I've gotten all day. It's in Chicago. With the KC wheat futures contract, that's where your price is determined. They take that KC futures contract price, they back it off with the basis to get to your local elevator, and that's it. And if your local elevator is $1.20 under, and that KC price is $4, you're going to get $3.80 or $2.80. $4, $3.80. If it goes to $4.10, you're going to get $3.90, $2.90, whatever it is. It's after lunch. But you see what I'm saying? Your price is determined in Chicago. Now, who determines it? It's the big traders. It's the big players. And they spend millions and millions of dollars to get information. And they take that information. They have people all over the world. They take that information, they put it in models, and they decide whether to buy or sell today. Or they look at the estimated supply and the estimated demand, and then they take positions. And those positions they take either drive the price up or price down. Now, this is a presentation that normally takes about 30 minutes. I'm getting it to you in about 3. My point is that what makes today's price different from yesterday's price is new information. That the big traders, they buy the information, they get the information, they try to get it before anybody else, and they use that information to take a position on the board, and that changes the price. And so what makes today's price different from yesterday is new information, and what makes tomorrow's price different from today's price is new information. Now, do you buy that? If you buy that, if you believe that, then by default you cannot predict price. Nobody can. The way you make money in the market is get the information before anybody else in the market. We first get the information, and two, evaluate it or analyze it better than the market as a whole, and you can make a profit on the board. If you can't do that, you're going to lose. The wealth's going to flow out. Price is going to take care of itself. Take advantages of inefficiencies in the market. Every once in a while they're there, once in a blue moon. If they're there, you need to know how to do it. Make a priority list every morning. Now this is kind of a deal. And the other two sections didn't get to see this, but one was talking to me about it. Every morning when I get in the office, I've got a pad. This is a 4x5 pad, and I make my list of things to do today. I'd advise you every morning when you get up, or every night before you go to bed, make that list. And then get you a big black marker, the biggest you can get your hands on. Because then when you finish something off, you mark it off. Now, which looks best, that or that? Well, Jimmy Christmas, I barely got that done. But there's something psychological about taking that pen and going, boom, that sucker's done now. Which looks best? Which one looks finished?
Sure.
Now, huh?
Neither one of them look finished.
Well, they were. Right, wrong, or indifferent, they were done. Now, my wife, I don't multitask. Especially when I've got a whole lot to do. I make a list, and I pick one, and I do it. I don't worry about anything else until I get it done. I mark it off. I don't overkill, I mark it off. Now, my wife, she's a multitasker. She'll work on this a little while, she'll work on this a little while, she'll work on this a little while, she'll come back to this, and then she'll do something else. And at the end of the day, I got 6 out of 8 of those marked off, and I'll say, hey, I had a pretty productive day. And she'll say, Kim, I didn't get anything done. And she did. She just hadn't marked them off. Because she's got others on the list, and she's still working on it. That really, I'm serious, especially when I'm overwhelmed. If I'll make a list, and then I didn't start on number 1. I started on number 3, and then went to 6. The guy, the Oklahoma Crop Improvement, but I was doing a program for them and had them on the list, and Roger was in here a while ago, and he says, Kim, I didn't even make the priority on the first 2. I like to do that. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the results of 100 battles. This is Sun Tzu's The Art of War. Anybody read that? Great book. Oh, it's a great book. He was a great general. And what he was saying, and I'm telling you this, on your farm, if you know the enemy and know yourself, you don't have to fear this year. It might not work out of you. You may go belly up. But over time, if you know the enemy and know yourself, over time you're going to be successful. I mean, many is successful. T. Boone Pickens went bankrupt twice before he made his multi-millions. What do I mean by know the enemy? Who's your enemy? That's a little strong using the term, but who's your enemy? Kansas City Board of Trade, yeah. Huh? Pigweed, yeah, that's your enemy, yeah. How about the elevator? Yeah, the grain elevator. How about, we already got Chicago Board of Trade in here. How about your fertilizer? How about your seed dealer? Any seed dealers in here? Yeah, there you go. Right there's your enemy.
You might want to get out of here.
How about China? How about the European Union? How about Russia, Ukraine? How about your foreign producers? How about the producers in Oklahoma?
Your neighbor.
Your neighbor. Now, they're not your enemy. They don't. I've already told you, you don't impact the price, and I'll show you in just a little while. You don't impact the price very much. I'll show you that just a little bit. The people in southwest Oklahoma, you want to be bad, they've lost 6 of the last 7 crops. And they say, but Kim, we're losing our crop and the price is not going anywhere. And I said, you don't count it. You don't count it. That's not, anyway. Okay, what about knowing yourself? What you got to know about yourself? What am I talking about there?
Strengths, weaknesses.
Your strength, you personally, your strengths and weaknesses, right? What makes you tick? What's your goals? What's your objectives? What keeps you up at night? But it's more than that. How many feels you got? You need to be intimate with every one of those feels. You need to know that dirt. Soil, the other guys will call it. You need to know how does it handle moisture? Which crop works best on it? How does fertility work? Does it have any diseases, problems, weeds? What's out in that field? What about your farm what about your machinery? What about your financial situation? What about your wife? What about your kids or your husband? You've got to know all of that because it matters. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the results of 100 battles. Are you going to lose some battles? You bet you're going to lose some battles, but you're going to win overall. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. In other words, you've got about a 50-50 chance. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. But you're depending on nothing but luck. If you just go do it, no planning, no nothing, no knowledge, that's what it's always been done, it's not going to work. I tell my students the 80-20 rule. You've heard of the 80-20 rule? It applies to about everything. 80% of the things that you have to do are not fun. You think it was fun putting this presentation together? Hey, you're a tough audience. I didn't know who you were, what you'd be like, or what you'd want, or what you would need. But you're important. There was a lot of consternation, a lot of thought. I could have put a 4-hour presentation together easier than I could have done this 50 minutes. Because I have to decide that what you can take home, Joel, and it's going to help you make money. 80% of the stuff I do, I don't like. Some of it I just downright hate. But if I don't do it, then I can't stand up here. I don't get invited to come and visit with you. And trust me, I enjoy this. Am I nervous? Am I scared? Yes. But I enjoy this. When I finish up, if I've done a good job, I'll say, yes! But if I don't do that 80% of sitting in the office, doing budgets, mapping fields, looking at history. You know, in college, I got a PhD, but you know what I got? I got D's in English. Yeah, I can't spell. I can't spell. Don't use good English. I got a weekly TV program. I write a column in Southwest Farm Press. Blah, blah. I do radio, TV all the time. Make my living doing it. History, I hated history. What I need history for? That's what it's about. It's history. Your decisions is all about history. Yeah, you know that. Boy, if I'd all remembered that mistake, or knew that before I did this, yeah. Okay, let's talk about your enemy. One of them. Oh, we got, where's wheat produced? 21% of the world's production is EU, China 18, India 12, Russia 8. Well, you got a lot of wheat produced there. What's happening in those countries? Isn't it important that you know what's going on? Why? Because you're wheat in the bin? Is price going to go up or down from today? Huh?
Depends on what they produce.
That's right. That's exactly
If they
correct.
produce too much and our price goes down, they don't need ours.
We know right now that France is in the barrel. You know, they've lost, 29, 30% of their crop already. Only about 40% of what they're harvesting is of milling quality. It's all feed wheat. What does that mean to you?
That'll help our price.
It'll help your price. At least your price has not been keeping going down. What about if you're producing corn? All that wheat's going to go to feed wheat. Yeah. See, you got to think about what's going on there. What's going on in Russia? Yep. They're harvesting a record crop. The genetics from your wheat started where? Russia. Russia and Ukraine. Right there's where your wheat came from. I want you to know Argentina only produces 1% of the world wheat crop. Remember that. Australia, they're building bins. They're looking at a record crop coming up. But it's not in the bin yet. We don't count it until it gets there. When's it harvested? Well, by June 1, 25% of the world's crops harvested. By August 1, 60%, 80%. So we're about 70% done. But our trend is built right here. That's where our marketing-year price trend is built. September, October, November. Don't know why, but it's that at the margin that builds that. You've got this in your handout. This is just the harvest periods, and this is this year's crop sizes in a billion bushels, or million bushels, for these countries. You can go over that, but that just kind of shows you where like this is India. You notice India starts harvesting here in March. You got Pakistan, North Africa, real early in the year. Exports. Here's your enemies, your competing exporters. 20% here, 15%. You know, it's Russia. Remember when they were big importers? 15% of the U.S. at 13, Canada at 13. We vacillate which one of us is third and which one's fourth. Australia 11%. Ukraine. Remember, Argentina's 1% production, 4% of the exports. A measly 4% that has a big impact on our price because they produce hard red winter wheat. You know what their average cost of production is for Argentina? $3.25 total cost. That's your competition. And it got quiet in there. Oh, you hear a lot about the dollar, right? The value of the dollar relative to other currencies. And it is important when it moves from 80 to 95. That's 15% move. It's about an 18% impact on prices. Remember Brexit? Is that what they call it?
Brexit.
Huh? Brexit? However you say it. Boy, how big a deal was that made by your analyst? All you heard was Brexit, Brexit, Brexit. What did Brexit do? Bingo. Smoke and mirrors. Is it important to know that? I told you it was smoke and mirrors before it started. I did a TV interview that they never showed. You know why? Because I said it's a null event. I said there'll be a shock. People, worried about it. They'll do something. I said, even if they exit, it's going to take them a couple years. They said, well, what about the trade agreements? I said, do you think England's not going to negotiate trade with the EU? They say, well, what about this? And I said, well, there's trade. I said the trade agreements may be better than what they got now. You don't know? That never aired. Okay. I could spend a lot of time on this. This is a monthly. Are you familiar with barchart.com? If you're not, it's a great site because I love pictures of what's going on. This starts back in 2002 when prices were down here around $3. And at this time period back here, they'd run from about $2 to $3.50, something like that. Oh, here's 2008. I start all my analysis at 2008 and bring it forward now. And I have the futures price between $4.30 and $10, and it broke through my concrete floor here. It's holding, and I'm hoping it comes back above it. Because I'm going to have to lower that forward. It just doesn't make as pretty a picture. But you're definitely in a downtrend. And the trend is your friend. You don't fight the trend. All right. I put this up here. There is some good news on this picture. All those numbers. There's some really good news there. Now, we can go over here and look at production. We can look at consumption. Consumption's good. That's a good number. That's a bad number. Going over 1 billion bushels, over 1.1 billion. Right there's the news. This is the average annual price of wheat in the United States. And USDA does a pretty good job of predicting this. Now, it may be down to $3.75 by the time we get to next June. I wouldn't think it'd go much lower than that. What's your price average so far? Now, the Kansas, Oklahoma price is normally 10 to 15 cents on the average, less than that average price. So if it averages $4, you're going to have $3.85 for an average price. If that's $3.75, you're going to have about $3.60. Either they got, for the first time in a long time, they're going to have missed out a country mile, or your price is going to go up. Do you want to bet on it? You are. You got quick to bet. I would. I'd bet on it, and I'll tell you why, just a little bit. Why is prices down? We just got too much wheat. The world, I took 2008 off of here because I only run 8 years. You know, this year is 7 behind it. But in 8, we had 25.1 billion record crop. 7 out of the last 9 years have been record crops in the world. On the average, about 560 million bushels a year above consumption. Consumption's also increased, but even look at ending stocks, they've increased records. Now, the salvation may be in Genesis chapter 41. Anybody know what happened in Genesis chapter 41? It has to do with Egypt and Joseph. 7 years of good crops, and Egypt taxed, based on Joseph. He told Pharaoh, you tax them 20%, 1/5 of their crop, and put it in bins. And so he did. And what did they do with that 1/5 of a crop? So they had their ending stocks, so stocks to use would have been about 40%. They bought almost the whole known world, or the world in that area, with that wheat. What do you think the price of wheat was on that 7th year? It was worthless, wasn't it? They had so much wheat. Policy comes, policy goes, weather determines price. We're going to lose a crop like we did in 10, like we did in 12. We're going to lose a crop, and when we do, we're going to see some price moves. Now, this is a convoluted chart. This is world export prices loaded on the vessel. So Russia, right here, about $162 a ton loaded on the vessel. You can divide 162 by 0.027. I'd have to do it on a calculator. 216. Darn. Must be getting 0.02. Where's my calculator?
Okay.
Huh?
It's okay, you're getting old.
Yes, I am that. Anyway, you can divide that by, that's why I have this here, 0.027216. I was right, should have said it. 0.027216. And I'll give you price per bushel. But anyway, the point is Russia's here. This is France. This is soft red winter wheat, U.S. This is hard red winter wheat, U.S. About $192 a ton. Point being, we're being undercut here, both by France and both by Russia. Okay, these are daily wheat prices in Gold-Free America. I figured that was just as good a place. Yeah, your price may be higher, may be lower, but the pattern's going to be the same. It starts in June of 2008. Notice we came down from $8.50 down in the $4.50 to $5 range. Came in with 2009, had quite a bit of wheat in the bin. Came down. Look at this in 2010. This started on July the 28th when it broke back up here. And it went from $3.50 to, $6.50, $3 right here. Wallowed around, then we lost Australia and Argentina. And we picked up another 2.5, $2.75. $5.50 in 5 months. What would you like to see that again? Based on what you know, what's the odds of that happening? Not very high. We look at 12. We came into 12 with around $6 prices. We lost some crops in the European Union, Russia, Ukraine, and Argentina and Australia. We got back up to there. Since August of 2012, we've been on a downtrend. Now, in 2008, we had a record world crop of 25.1 billion in the U.S. at 2.5. The average is around 2.2 billion bushels for the U.S. So above average world, above average U.S., and you'd expect it to go from 850 down to around 450, around $5. Given that. The next year we had another record world crop, an average U.S. crop, just average U.S., and we brought it down here, bottomed out somewhere around 330. We had a short world crop and an average U.S. crop. Average U.S., not short U.S., average U.S., short world, and we got that. We had a record world crop, a below average U.S., and we got this. We had a short by $1.5 billion world crop, a slightly above average U.S. crop. We got that out of it. Above average U.S., short world. Record world, below average U.S., down. Record world, well below average U.S., down. Record world, well below average U.S., down. Record world, average U.S. Where's your price determined? World. I come back to you. What can you do about price? Nothing. Now, can you be offered prices and take advantage of them? Yes. You can forward contract. You can hedge. You can store. But the price, what's going to happen to the price is what's going to happen to it. Let's look at the basis. Oh, Mike, when he was in the last session, that the farmer that was up there, that he wasn't he the seed wheat producer? Huh? Rick? Was he in the brown shirt? Yeah, well, he was in that session before here. And, because, he says you don't get paid for quality. Remember him saying that? You don't get paid for quality. But you need to concentrate on yield. And I'm saying don't produce yield without quality. You get paid on quality. Okay, I could go through your basis here back in 08. Remember, prices were going in the tank and our basis was holding around this average of 70 here. Prices were going down, basis came down. We had the short crop here, basis going up, and so above average through this period here, and then we built the crop back up. Now I'm going to superimpose the prices over it. I want you to think about what was in the bin. What's in the bin now? What kind of wheat you got in the bin now? It's not very good. It's not what you like to hear. Yes, last year's crop was pathetic. It had high protein, but it was little bitty berries, shriveled berries, low yield. This year's crop, beautiful berries, great test weight, 11.2 protein. Export contracts are a minimum of 12 protein. Kind of restricts how much you send out on export, doesn't it? You say, well, we can blend last year's trash in it, get the protein up, raise the last year's test weight that was in the tank. Well, that's one reason your basis is in the tank. You can do that. That's what you old timers, so to speak. What was your quality like back here in 2008? You look at your basis. Here's 60. You had some decent wheat, too much wheat, but your basis went up. Remember, your price is going down here, but you had some decent wheat in there. Then the 09 crop was junk. Remember that? The 09 crop was junk. You couldn't even sell it for feed hardly. Nobody wanted it, and we had excess of it. And the basis got down here, minus $1.30. And what drove it down there is excess wheat, but the big driver was poor quality. Now, the 10 crop was a good test weight, a good protein crop. But and your price, the market wanted that crop. They bought it. But look at the basis here. Why did the basis go up like this throughout the year? Because they were taking this trash over here and blending it out. The market wasn't the basis showed what was going on there. What's going on here, this is excess wheat, but the big thing is it's not milling quality. Nobody wants it. And it's reflected in the basis. Now, let's think ahead to 2017. I'm Kim Anderson, and I'm going to produce 100,000 bushels of wheat. And I say, oh, I can deliver it or have my own bins or whatever. And I produce a 60-pound plus test wheat that's, let's go for 12 protein. You think anybody's going to want to buy that wheat? I'll bet you a nickel in the whole donut if you produce 10,000 bushels of 60-pound test wheat, 11.8 protein. Go for 12. They'll be falling all over themselves to buy it. Because why? They can take that good quality, more especially if you get over 12 protein. They're going to want it like in 2010 so they can blend out some of this year's crop. They got test weight in this crop, but the 11.2 protein, it's just not enough protein. It's good quality protein, but it's not enough of it. What they'll do this year is they'll buy hard spring wheat, bring it down and blend it for the flour mills. Get that protein up. What do you want to produce next year? I'll give up a little yield to get, but I'm going to get yield. How do I get protein? Nitrogen, right? Applied at the right time. Does that make sense to you? I want you to think about that. What if you produce next year 60-pound test, 11 protein wheat? Think anybody wants it? No, nobody wants it. You know what the protein premium is for 12 protein wheat right now in Kansas City? 51 to 61 cents. 13 protein wheat's around 80 to 90 cents. The market needs protein. So, what we got? The world's awash in wheat. What time am I supposed to be done? I'm ready. All right, there's a couple people this morning on the other two programs that didn't know about the Market Assistance Fund. They had wheat in the bin, and they're planning on storing it. And you can put it under this loan with FSA, Farm Service Agency, USDA for $3.15, $3.16 a bushel. They'll loan you the money. Prices stay below that. The loan's for 9 months. Prices doesn't come up enough to cover the $3.16 plus interest plus the storage. You can just let them keep your wheat. They'll forgive all the storage and everything. You keep your money. Huh? Yeah, they do have. You can take the LDP and keep your wheat if you want to.
You have to go to the market assistance fund. I don't know if they'll
Do they force you to put it?
No,
You can leave.
If you take an LDP, you can't get it.
Right. I'm not saying take the. I'm saying don't take the LDP. Or if you want to gamble, take the LDP, keep your wheat, see if it goes up. I think that'd probably pay off at least a 50% chance of it. But how much risk you want to take? But it's an alternative, and this lady's got the knowledge that you need to have. Oh, really?
If you're in Oklahoma, go see them.
No, don't go see me. Go see FSA.
That's true.
They've got the information, not me. I'm just telling you about that this is there. This is part of about knowing your enemy. Oh, you got corn variety with 4.4. We got a big corn crop coming on it, so it's not much of a floor. It doesn't look good until 217, but there's still hope. We could still lose Australia and our Argentina. If we did, we'd get $1 or $1.50 out of it. Not very likely. The other thing, and I didn't say this in the other two sessions, if you'll look at this right here and right here, it tells you that if we ever get a big price, when we get a big price move, the odds are it's going to be in August. So next year I come in the crop, I still got low prices. I'm probably going to store it until I get at least into August to see if that price is going to take off, see if we're losing that foreign crop. But if you look just about, when you got the big moves, it was an August time period. That's just something to think about. You've got these charts, so you can look at that. Okay, predicting price. I told you you can't predict price. How many of you are planning for next year? Are you doing budgets for next year? Yeah, you need to be doing budgets. And to do a budget, you got to have a plan, you got to have a price. What's the price going to be next year? Something. But you got to put down a number. So let's do an educated guess. Well, the KC July contract's right close to 475 in Gulfstreet. You can forward contract for 95 under 380. Right there's a given projection. I could forward contract for 380 right now in Gulfstreet. I'm not going to, but I could. Because I think, personally, you can bring in with a personal bias, I think there's at least 20 cent risk in that basis. So, I'm going to say, well, basis is, so I'm going to say $4. That's what I'm going to put on my deal. But I am an average economist, and I do have an office on the 5th floor back hall that overlooks the OSU campus. I have been doing this for 30-something years, and what the heck, I've been wrong before. I think it's going to be $4. Or 450. Yeah, 450. Stick my neck out there. I would bet on this one. I wouldn't bet on that one. I'm in trouble on canola. Anybody raise canola? Well, I did some deal on TV last week on canola, and they were all upset about it because I used the current prices. They didn't like it because they're too low. But I got a canola. The market's telling me canola price is going to be $6. And I can throw that out. Questions to ask yourself. Will this investment increase profit? In other words, everything you do, you need to ask yourself, will this increase profit? Now, a hard thing to do is, you're in the April time period. Do you put down fungicide or pesticide or anything in April? Come on guys, help me out. I'm not a wheat farmer. April, May? And so, you've got $130 already invested in that crop. And I had a producer in April say, Kim, I'm not putting another penny in my wheat. I said, why not? He said, well, there's too much uncertainty. Well, if you pencil it out, let's say it costs you $10 an acre to do it, but it's going to increase your yield by 5 bushels an acre. At $3, that's 15. That's a no-brainer. That 130 doesn't count. It's will this decision by itself. Now, right now it counts because you hadn't spent any money. But in April, every penny you got in that crop, it's fixed. It's fixed. You look at, will this investment, will this decision pay for itself and more? That's the question you've got to ask. You've got to get the right numbers. You've got to know your fields. You've got to know your crop. You've got to know that chemical or pesticide or herbicide or fertilizer, whatever it is. You've got to know it. How can I improve the odds of success? Somebody tell me, how are you going to improve the odds of success next year?
Based off the history of what you've done in the past.
If it's worked or not. Yeah. Or look at your neighbor, your successful neighbor. That's a smart thing to do. I'm a guy and I've even learned to ask questions. I'll ask for directions now. It doesn't bother me a bit. I get lost. I'll pull in. Ask those ladies at the Quick Trip. Ladies, how do I get to this and stuff? Well, remember that market, land, labor, capital, and management. Remember, this is what you can control. And those are what you've got to know. Remember that. And basically, select the commodities that have the highest. So you got to do budgets. You got to do those. You've got to do those enterprise budgets. Difficult. Got to do those. All right. You can look at that. That's for rented land, $50 an acre cash rent. Those don't fit your farm, I know that. This is what you have to do. But even on this, $193.50, you're losing $62 an acre on my budget. Now, if you don't have a land charge, then you're only losing $12. Your break even with rented land is $5.53, and break even without the land charge is $4.10. Well, what if I own my own equipment? Well, it helps me buy about 12 bucks, $5.26 and $3.80. $80, I could cover costs maybe. Oh, so I can run some cattle or something. It gets it down to $50 an acre loss, more investment. And you'll have some fixed costs. All right, this is the real world. This is $3.75. I'm using $3.75 for my plots. I can kick it up to $4. It lowers it a little bit. Do I need those back up for those? Oh, you got them in your handout. Yeah, they're in the handout. All right. Now, what I did on the Gulfstream price is I just ordered the prices in order. Forget the date. I just said biggest to the lowest, order. And then I counted. And so I calculated the odds. Let's say the odds of getting $7 an acre. It's about 25% based on history. What about 50% chance? You're about right here. Well, I got about a 50-50 of 610 or so. What about 553? About 65% chance. 410, about 90. 380, about 95. That's just a little tool you can look at. Now, this is over time, and if my break-even, well, this tells me if that's my break-even, I'm looking at, about 35% of the time losing money. And making money, what, 65% of the time. On the average, how am I doing? How are you going to find out? Go back to what you've done in the past. How's it worked out? All right. What can you do to reduce the odds of a loss? You know, it's just me. Anybody?
By working outside.
Oh, I tell you what I did last year. I was doing one of these and I said, hey, you people that are kind of long in the tooth like I am, with what's going on in the market, hey, just rent out cash rent your wheat land. There's some suckers out there. Cash rent it, take your wife to Florida over winter. Just this last week, a guy came up to me and says, Kim, my dad listened to you. He rented me that land. And him and Mom in Florida. True story. If you rent land, you can negotiate a lower rental rate. Oh, God, landlords love that. My wife now owns some farmland. And I'm not just rental rate. It happens to be pasture land. It's not cropland, it's pasture land. But, cattle prices, they've kind of done what wheat prices have done, not quite as bad yet. But I negotiated higher, and I'll negotiate lower. One thing I want to keep this guy in business because he takes care of my land. And I've talked to producers that they'll lose $63 or $62 an acre next year just to get control of your land. What can you control? Land, labor, capital, and management. That's what you can control. You've got to have that land to make money. But at $5.53 break even, if you can only make money 65% of the time, is that enough? Are you better off giving up that land? That's a decision you can only make if you know your enemy and you know yourself. And you put a hard pencil to it and you spend a lot of time learning, studying, and penciling it out. You soil test the roots. Oh gosh, I'm a believer in that. Scout fields, weeds and pests. You don't plant wheat, forget it, come back and harvest it. Or just whatever you normally do. You've got to work that. Several years ago, Jeff Edwards, our wheat guy, he's now department head of plant soil science, told me, I was saying that, cattle really make the money in wheat in Oklahoma. Wheat's just a side deal. He said, not for a real wheat farmer. Average production in Oklahoma is 30 bushels. He said, I have people that average 60. In April, this is when the crop was still blue in the field. I was talking to a farmer down by Tuttle, south of Oklahoma City. What is average? He was looking at, Kim will probably only harvest 32 bushel an acre, and his break-even was 3 1/4 at 32. He ended up getting 55. You think he made money this year? Why? He rotates. He's got clean fields. He doesn't have weed competition. He manages moisture. I don't know what all he does, but he's a real wheat farmer. He works at it. They work hard at it. Don't plant marginal fields to wheat. Well, this is the year if I was going to plant something. If I had a marginal field that's looking at, look at the odds of it making you money. Like one farmer came up when I finished this and said, Kimball, what does 5 more bushel, what does 40 bushel an acre look like versus 35 on those? Looks a heck of a lot better. Won't get you there, but it looks a lot better. Change to another enterprise. Try crop rotation, canola. That's the pickle that I'm mad at. Now, I'm a big proponent of canola rotation with wheat down in Oklahoma. Clean up. The one thing, any of you got rye palms on your fields? If you looked at the foreign material FM discount, 1.1% 12, 2% 24 cents, 3% 50 cents. Have you seen these discounts? That's that's ADM, and this is Consolidated Barge W.B. Johnston's discounts. Now is probably a good time to clean up those fields with canola. The expected price for canola next year, according to me, the canola people don't like it, $6. And what I did is I took the Winnipeg price and backed it back to Oklahoma, Kansas, really, Oklahoma, Kansas area. Oh, so try crop rotation. Okay, pre-harvest strategies, looking at marketing strategies. I assumed that if I sold the wheat at harvest every year, I did these. You do the same thing every year. And so pre-harvest, selling harvest average 407, that's 86 through 2015, 8 through 15, 643. There's just not much difference, no matter what you get. You did the same thing every year. There's just not a whole heck of a lot. There's no statistical difference. There's a real difference. I probably wouldn't, well, I don't know. Which one wouldn't you do? These are in your handouts, and these boxes are the strategy that work. Post-harvest, selling harvest 407, 643, 407. Well, that's the best time to sell your wheat. 85 to 15. Well, harvest, best time to sell your wheat. We've done all kinds of studies on this, and what I found out was that I got 3 elevators to give me 9 months of all ever purchase they made. I had the farmer name, when they delivered it, how many bushels they delivered it, how much discount, what they sold it for, when they sold it. I had all that information. And what we found out, some farmers sold at harvest, some in the fall, some just all over the board. Which ones did the best? Huh? All did about the same, as long as you haven't sold at cardinal sense, not have it sold at January. 3 times since 72 has it been best to sell it after January. Mechanical strategies produce a relatively good net price for a minimum amount of effort. Gets the worry out of it. The difference between one marketing strategy and another is small, but they favor selling at harvest. The good news for producers that like to keep up with prices and trends, cycles, patterns, is that their effort to beat the market is only going to cost you a couple cents a bushel. We got the evidence to prove it, or the research to do that. Questions?
Ken,
Yes.
have you ever noticed any difference between the strength of the dollar and the markets? Like, as the strength,
Yes.
as the dollar goes down, the markets are going up.
Will it have impact? Yes. Does it, when it moves from an index of 80 to 95, does it have an impact? You bet it does. That definitely removes about 20% off of your price.
I mean, like 08 to 10, when our dollar was going down, that was when that market just took a sword.
And that's exactly correct. Yes, the value of the dollar over time has a big impact on our price. The difference makes a difference. But from day to day, some days you think it does and some days it doesn't. When it's below 96, or ABC or NBC or whatever. Gosh. Whatever.
It's very entertaining.
Any other questions? Well, okay, let me give you some more of my philosophy. Strategy, now this is more Sun Tzu, the art of war. Strategy without tactics is the slowest route to victory. So with the strategy alone, in other words, a overall plan for your farming operation, you can survive and you can grow. But if you'll have an overall plan and a micro plan, a plan for each field, pencil out each field, each farm, each activity, everything you put a pencil to that you do, that'll increase the rate of victory. It'll increase the odds of success. Tactics without strategy is noise before the defeat. In other words, if you don't have that overall plan, that design, that outlook, where are you going? You say, if you don't know where you're going, you'll get there. When I was in junior high school, 10,000, and I tell my students, don't put a number on it, choose the standard of living. What standard of living do you want? And then figure out what you have to do to get there. I learned that there's always people that make more money than me, and always people that make less than me. All I have to be happy with is me. Have a written strategy and plan. I believe it. Oh, I used to drive up and down the road. Let me see, my time's up right now. Like the city girl said, going through the barbed wire fence. One more barb and I'll be through. Anyway, I used to run up, I'd be driving all over the roads of Oklahoma, coming up to Kansas doing night meetings, and I'd be driving back at midnight 30, listening to my country western music on my 84 GMC pickup that I put 217,000 miles on, and I'd get a brilliant idea for a program or a research project. I'd get home, I'd get up the next morning, get to the office, I couldn't remember what it was. I know it's a great plan. Gosh, it's a wonderful idea. So I got a dictaphone. We didn't have phones then. Got a dictaphone. I'd turn off that radio and I'd take up that dictaphone and I'd say, blah, 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 blah. And the next morning when I got back to the office, I'd play it back. Joel, you know how many of those ideas were worth a darn? I can't remember a one. I can't remember a one of my midnight 30 plans that was worth anything of the next morning. But I didn't know that until I wrote it down, until I recorded it. You've got to record stuff. I have a tendency to, if I don't write it down, of course I was right. Yeah, that's what I thought in the first place. Last thing is, do not listen to market outlook economists. They're yours.
So this session includes our event today. On behalf of the BASF and High Plains Journal, we would like to thank you for joining us. Before you leave, there's a survey to fill out in your packets. If you leave those on the table, we can pick them up. And then if the coasters